If you grew up watching Reggie Miller, if you remember when the Pacers' 10th man made more in one paycheck than the entire WNBA's best player made in a season, if you're part of the Title IX generation that fought to put women on the court in the first place, this one's gonna sting. A'ja Wilson just signed the biggest contract in WNBA history. 3 years, $5 million, fully guaranteed. The league's first four-time MVP locked into Las Vegas. The headline called it a coronation. Here's what the headline left out. That exact same contract, $5 million spread over 3 seasons, doesn't cover 1 full year of an NBA bench warmer. The NBA's 10-year veteran minimum is $3.63 million per season, which means A'ja Wilson's record-setting, history-making, largest ever WNBA Supermax pays less over 3 full seasons than an aging NBA forward makes in 14 months of clapping from the sideline. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, under the new CBA ratified March 24, 2026, her new 2026 salary is $528,000. The NBA rookie minimum is $1.27 million. Do the math. The face of the WNBA, the most watched, most jerseyed, most searched athlete in women's sports, makes 41% of what Cooper Flagg's backup makes. 41%. Because yes, the raises are real. Wilson went from $250,000 to $1.4 million. Napheesa Collier, runner-up for MVP 2 years running, went from $180K to $1.4. Kelsey Mitchell in Indianapolis, same jump. And here's the one nobody's talking about. Breanna Stewart, 2-time MVP WNBPA Vice President, the player who negotiated this CBA. Stewart could have taken the $1.4 Supermax with New York. Instead, she signed a 3-year max deal at $1.19 million, 17% of the cap, not 20. She left $210,000 on the table per year to keep her team together. Think about what that tells you. The player who wrote this deal took a pay cut to make it work. That's the league we're talking about. That's how thin the math is. Let's put it on the board. A'ja Wilson, year 1 of the biggest WNBA contract ever signed, $1.4 million. NBA 10-year vet minimum, $3.63 million. The lowest paid NBA veteran with a decade of service makes 2.6 times what the highest paid player in women's basketball history makes. 2.6 times for doing less, much less. And Clark, her old 2026 salary, the one that would have landed if this CBA hadn't passed, was projected at $85,973. SpotRack had that number on their website for a year, $85K. For the reason half the league now has new revenue share to argue about. The union fixed it. Collier, between 2 ankle surgeries, spent her offseason at the table. Stewart left money on the floor. Clark's rookie contract got adjusted up to the new CBA floor overnight, a 6 times raise, and she's still below the NBA rookie minimum. Let me say that again, because the celebration skipped it. The WNBPA negotiated the biggest pay jump in women's pro sports history, and it left Caitlin Clark making less than a kid picked 58th overall in the NBA draft. Now, why does this matter for Indiana specifically? Because the clock is already running at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The new CBA includes a provision called EPIC, Exceptional Performance on Initial Contract. It lets players like Clark renegotiate the 4th year of their rookie deal early and add a 3-year extension. Clark hits that window in 2027. Max if she makes All-WNBA again. Supermax if she wins MVP. Aaliyah Boston hits her window in 2026. Kelsey Mitchell already took her Supermax, $1.4 million for this season, which means Stephanie White, Kelly Krauskopf, and GM Amber Cox are staring at a $7 million cap with 3 max-eligible fever stars stacked inside a 2-year window. The math does not work, not at current cap levels, not even close. You cannot pay 3 players $1 million plus at Gainbridge Fieldhouse and still field a 9-deep roster that competes with Wilson's Aces, Stewart's Liberty, or Collier's Lynx. Somebody gets sacrificed, and the front office knows it. So here's the bookend, because the Title IX generation remembers this. 30 years ago, Reggie Miller's deep bench, guys averaging 4 minutes a game, made more in one paycheck than the WNBA's best player made in a whole season. That was the Bird and Magic era. The Stockton to Malone era, the era when women were fighting for a league to even exist. We thought we were past this. This is the WNBA's 30th season, tipping off in May. And for most of those 30 years, the minimum salary was a punchline compared to the men. We thought a $7 million cap, a revenue share, a Supermax finally worth something. We thought that meant the gap was closing. The gap didn't close. The gap just moved to a different zip code. Aja Wilson just signed the biggest contract in WNBA history. And the top NBA assistant coaches, the guys running the whiteboard for a head coach, make over $2 million a year. Which means the best player in women's basketball makes less than a clipboard guy in Phoenix. That's where the league is. That's where Clark is. That's the math. Here's what I'll leave you with. When Clark hits epic eligibility in 2027 and Herb Simon's Fever are staring down 3 max deals under a $7 million cap, what do you think happens? Comment below. I read every one. Next video, we break down what Simon's cap sheet actually looks like when that clock hits 0. Because the numbers, the real numbers, are worse than you think.